Hey there humans, Bob here, welcome to another Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy video. Today I'm going to be showing you some of the gameplay from an early hands-on session courtesy of Square Enix, as well as give you some of my first impressions of the game. Before we get going with this one though, don't forget to drop a like, it massively helps to get more eyes on the video, and it's completely free. Great, now that's out of the way, let's go over exactly what we're covering today. The hands-on session I had lasted about 3 hours, but don't worry, I won't be forcing you to watch 3 hours of my terrible gameplay. We'll just be going over some of the highlights of my time with the game. For this one, I didn't start at the beginning of the story, but are actually around chapter 5 to avoid too many story spoilers, which is great because I love going into story games like this with as little information as possible, so I still get all the intended thrills. That said, I will be discussing some story elements in this video, so if you want to go in completely fresh, I'll try and put a timer up on this screen for where you can skip forward to. Warning though, that's a lot of the video, so, you know, if you don't want to be spoiled, just keep an eye out. So, Chapter 5 starts off with the motley crew apparently having escaped the infamous Lady Hellbender, and the team now having to deal with the prospect of paying a fine to what essentially are the Space Police, the Nova Corps. Upon receiving a distorted message from an acquaintance on the Nova Corps base, the Rock, no, not that Rock, Star-Lord decides that they will in fact pay the fine and also investigate the message, as thanks to an infamous space llama that the team have taken on board has chewed through the wiring for their communications, much to Rocket's annoyance. It's around now that I was able to start exploring the Milano, the Guardian ship. As you walk around the ship, you'll see each Guardian has a distinct personality that oozes into their dialogue and the surroundings, and the conversations that each character has with each other are great fun. So much so that I spent the first 20 minutes of my playthrough just talking to the crew members and exploring their backstories, which are steeped in lore, and honestly, way more deep and emotional than I was expecting. I won't spoil those conversations for you here, but I encourage you to explore them when you get your hands on the game. After my time on the Milano and discovering Gamora's secret love for doll collecting, I proceeded with the mission and plotted a course for the Rock. Upon arrival, rather than loading into a mission like in a lot of other games you usually do, you actually walk from the cockpit to the exit of the ship, hearing your team members converse as you go, even giving you the opportunity to manually talk to everyone before you disembark, really enforcing the idea that this is a game that is going to be all about relationships just as much as punching random aliens in the face. As you disembark, you quickly realise something is off, and you have to make your way through the station by solving mini puzzles and investigating lore through datapads, terminals and the like, as is the norm with this style of game. One particular encounter with a prisoner in a locked cell is extremely fun, and as is customary with Marvel, is also an Easter egg. This one features Jack Flag, who was at one point a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy himself in the comic books. The encounter is great, as depending on whether you try to free him, you may actually cause his demise. And as I had the opportunity to play through more than once, your decisions definitely impact his fate. So choose wisely. Or not. I'm not your dad. Moving on, the team quickly find that the Nova Corps seem to be in a bit of trouble, and end up finding a discarded Nova helmet. You'll be given the option here, and seemingly across the game, to decide how to react. The decision you make here will affect the following encounters very heavily, as if you reveal yourself, you'll face more enemies and lose the element of surprise in subsequent encounters. That said, you'll also be exposed to more information around what is exactly going on. As you progress, it becomes clearer that the Nova Corps are under some form of spell or hypnosis, causing them to turn on their colleagues and the Guardians without warning. But now, we finally get to see what the combat's like. I won't lie to you, as I was dropped in halfway through the campaign and I kind of breezed through the tutorials, I was pretty unprepared for some of the tougher enemies. I tried to shoot and punch my way out of the encounter, but quickly realised that if you want to survive, you need to take advantage of your team. They aren't there for decoration and are absolutely vital if you want to take other enemies down, especially those that are using shields or other special weaponry. I flustered for a good 20 minutes trying to stubbornly push through without changing my tactics until I finally decided to actually try and apply some thought to the fight. And damn, I'm glad I did. Once you start using the combinations of your own attacks and the rest of the Guardians, something just clicks. I went from trying to spam attack my way through to freezing enemy shields in place with my elemental blasters, getting Groot to hold enemies in place, and then getting Gamora to cut a cord on overhanging crate, whilst Drax is like throwing an explosive barrel, and Rocket, well, Rocket's mainly just hurling insults, but it literally all comes together when you start to work as a team. Speaking of, if you're starting to struggle in a fight, the dev team have created a fantastically unique way of turning the tide in a fight. As you're fighting, you will fill up a special meter that will allow you to huddle up and give your team a pep talk. Be careful though, because if you choose the wrong dialogue option, you'll only give yourself a boost, and nothing will be applied to your team. But if it works, you will be rewarded not only with boosts, but some kick-ass 80s tunes to boot. And let me tell you, fighting brainwashed space police to Joan Jett's bad reputation as your favourite bunch of Marvel misfits is an experience like no other, and one I'm desperate to dive back into. One thing to note here though, if you are planning on creating content for this game, you can select the streamer mode, which replaces the licensed music with the original game music to avoid dealing with any pesky DMCA issues. After completing each fight, you'll be rewarded with XP for the fight, but also for how stylish you are in taking down your enemies, which encourages you to get creative in your combat. This XP can be used to unlock skills for individual team members to improve their efficiency when fighting, and there are perks as well that will affect either Quill or the whole party, adding new features like the ability to be able to scan enemies for weaknesses and more. Finally, something that I really enjoyed playing around with was the cosmetics. Each one is beautifully varied and has lore that accompanies it. From the original game skins to the many comic runs the Guardians have had, as well as MCU skins, which we were given a glimpse of during this early hands-on with Gamora's Guardians #1 outfit. All in all, this game is filled to the brim with personality, both in the dialogue and conversations between the Guardians, as well as the combat. Where I was originally a little apprehensive of this one, I'm now incredibly invested in the characters and their journeys, and I can't wait to dive in come October the 26th. But that's it for this one for now. I hope you enjoyed it, or at least found it informative in some way. If you did, please like, subscribe, and if you want to come and talk to me about this live or any other Marvel game, come and check me out over on twitch.tv/BobDuckNWeave, or connect with me on socials at BobDuckNWeave. You can find the links in the description down below. Thanks so much again, and as always, stay safe, stay awesome, and remember, you got this. Probably. Bye-bye.